Hi, Andrew here, and I like the quiet. My wife was showing me some things on her Instagram feed about mental health. I'm not on Insta. I'm on Pinterest, I'm on this, and I have my blog, and that's, I think, enough for me. I don't need to add stressors to my life. I need to keep the stressors under control, so I don't think adding Insta is really in the cards, at least not at this time. But what was interesting was that in her Instagram feed, she was scrolling through to show me some of these mental health things. And she came upon a fella who was posting about his anxiety. And what happened, or happens to this man, is he lies in bed. He goes to bed and he lies down in the quiet, in the dark. And with no input, his head begins to spin. The ideas swirl, the anxieties come out. His monster, his darkness, his problem attacks him in the dark and in the quiet. I find this curious. Not bad, and I'm not judging him. Please make no mistake, I am not one to judge another person for his mental health issues. I just find it curious because I am the exact opposite. My wife has many times come into the living room and been startled when I said something or I simply shifted, because she came into the living room and it was dark. I didn't have a screen on, I wasn't reading a book, I wasn't doing anything. I was sitting in the dark, in the quiet. My children asked me why I do this, and I like the quiet. I like the dark. The dark is quiet. One of my problems is too much input, too much stimulation causes me problems. Not necessarily with my depression, but it does cause me other problems. I have severe misophonia. Look that up sometime. I'll definitely talk about that at some point. But for me, the quiet is bliss. The darkness is quiet, so the darkness is bliss. And I very, very much enjoy it. Absolutely the opposite of this fella who my wife found on Insta. But he found ways to cope. He had a story about how he learned to cope with the quiet in the dark in the nighttime because he had to. And when there's too much input, which I have the opposite problem, when there's too much input, I have to find the quiet, which is why you see me sitting in these rather unusual lighting conditions, because I'm sitting in my car outside my kids' piano lessons. I love to listen to their piano lessons, but now that we're off Zoom and we've gone back to the music store where they have their piano lessons, it's not quiet anymore. It's not me listening to my boys play the piano. They're in sound muffled rooms, so I can barely hear them. And did I mention it's a music store? What do you find in music stores? You find musical instruments. So you've got the guy over there trying out the drum set. You've got the guy over there trying out the guitar. You've got the guy over there trying out the ukulele. You've got 4 or 5 lesson rooms, and they've all got noise drifting. You have the other parents who are waiting for the kids quietly chatting. You have my other boy playing one of his fool video games. All of this noise, all of this input. And I don't like it, and I'm finding it increasingly difficult to be able to handle it. So I seek out the quiet. And so here I sit on this cold, snowy November eve, waiting for my sons to finish their piano lesson in the dark, in the quiet. What works for you? Maybe the dark and the quiet is not the solution for you. I've given you the example of a man for whom it is absolutely not the solution. It just happens to be for me. Do you need to be around people? Do you need to socialize? Do you need to step away from people? Do you need to isolate? Do you need input to keep the voices, the thoughts, the swirling craziness in your head? Do you need input to keep it under control? Or do you like the quiet because all of that input is what makes it go out of control? What works for you? Think about it. Discover it. Lean into it. Do more of it. My top hobby during the summer is to kayak. I get out on my boat with a fishing rod, occasionally a cigar, sometimes a book. I get in some exercise, and I get in some peace and quiet. What do you do? Figure it out. Do more.